I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it. Like here we go. Saka and Emil Smith Rowe. Good evening, everybody. I just thought I'd entertain Mr. Posh Bertie, and thank you very much indeed. Welcome back to another Giving a Gathering. Ditch the plectrum, we won't need that anymore. We are back just for a little bit of nonsense, a little bit of fun. I'm in a joyful mood. The Arsenal won again. Hooray! And I'm joined by Mr. Posh Bertie today. Hello, mate.
Hello. Funny you should start with a musical number because I never felt more like singing the blues. Arsenal win and Tottenham lose. You know, it's fantastic. And
it was a thing of beauty, mate.
Absolutely. Never in doubt last night, wasn't it? We'll get to that. We'll talk about that.
Never in doubt at all. I tell you what, though, for we'll get into the match and everything in just a bit. But the stress of not seeing the game live absolutely did my head in. I mean, as much as I did enjoy watching Grimsby against Tottenham, and it was jolly fun. My stepometer really went up quite a bit on my carpet because I couldn't sit still. You know, it's much like me doing a chat along without actually seeing it. I was getting well stressed. I think we might have someone. Who have we got coming in? Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
No, not too bad, mate. We're not too bad at all. Have we got another one in there? So that's it. That's it. Yeah, all good. There we go. So, whereabouts are you tonight, mate?
It's technically still at work, but he's dead. So.
Okay. Fair enough. So you're having a sneaky little quiet one. Fair enough, mate. Well, how good of you to join us.
No worries.
So, how long have we got you for tonight, Matt?
I'm happy to talk about the game last night because I managed to catch the first 45 minutes. Unfortunately, wasn't able to watch the rest of it, but saw the game. And I could talk about the women's game. So,
all right.
Maybe
okay. Well,
15 minutes.
Cool. All right. I'll tell you what we'll do then. We'll start from the beginning because that's always a good place to start. So we had an unchanged starting 11, I believe, and I think it would be just there.
Yep.
There we go.
There you go.
Absolutely unchanged. Was that a surprise to you? Because it was a little bit for me.
When you're getting their form up and running, it's a good place to be. Obviously, Thomas Partey's just coming back. Trossard is giving something else a bit of a headache as well. He gave Everton a bit of a headache last night because everyone was expecting Eddie to start, ended up going on the bench and Trossard going up front. So that was good to see. And it was going to be one of those games that I felt that maybe it was something that we had to do because if you're playing the same old players, you get into the same old routines, and then you can't. Very predictable to play against you. Look at Liverpool, for example. They didn't bring any midfielders in over the summer or even the winter, and now everyone's going and beating them, and I don't even know. Yeah, apart from Wolves.
Well, fair enough. But what struck me is I've literally just come off the back of watching the highlights because here you go, behind the sage little. This is what happened about an hour ago. I got in from my work today, and to discover my highlights didn't record. So, but I managed to. Sky were good enough to put on a special late showing for me. So what I saw, the first thing, Arsenal got their tempo going quite quickly in the match, and playing from the back very early on. Did you see this, Posh?
Yes.
Thank you for that analysis.
You asked me if I've seen it. This is the first goal we're on about.
Before first goal, I'm more talking about them being very comfortable in the possession. Like Zinchenko
absolutely.
Playing to Odegaard, playing it to Saka, which led to a corner kick. So they were dealing with sort of any sort of early Everton pressure quite well and coming out to get on that counter attack, using their pace on it quite quickly.
I think the first 40 minutes or so, it felt like, from what I heard and from what I saw in the highlights, it was going to be one of those games where we are in control. We seem to be playing the better football, but we're facing an Everton team that are going to be extremely well organised, parking the bus as I think we predicted, and they're going to be a very stressful side for us in terms of how defensive they are. It felt like it was going to be that kind of game, and it was more of a case of how patient we would be facing an organised defensive team at Everton. Hindsight, of course, it wasn't that much of a problem, but in the first 40 minutes, it felt like that. And it felt like, oh God, I hope this is not be one of those games where we're going to pretty much end up throwing the kitchen sink at them. But, you know, Sean Tarkovsky's going all Sean Dyche mode, and you know, he's unstoppable.
Well, so much like I said on my post-match, pre-match, I should say, yesterday, that's what I was my head went to Tarkovsky and the former Burnley boys again. But nothing to worry about. I think I know your answer to this, Posh, but I'll throw to Matt just now. Fusion short corners, because I see that Arsenal did play quite a few of these short corners yesterday. There was one chance that came to Jorginho in the first half, hit him on the wrong side. He was on his left foot, but your views on short corners opposed to getting it into the penalty area? Because I saw that too much for my liking yesterday.
I think the idea is that you give the opposition something to think about. It's not like, we're just going to lump it in the box and hope for the best. We needed to play smart football, and you have to do it when you've got the gangly, tall centre halves that can just pick the ball out in the penalty area. You need to think of doing something different. I look at the women's. Usually, you have Steph Catley doing inside corners, and then you'd have, although she's now injured, you'd have Beth Mead doing the same on the other side. So because they're left-footed and right-foot, they swap sides. So Beth would be on the left, and Steph would be on the right, so that they're in swinging towards that 6-yard box for someone just to head home. Yeah. Hi, Niall.
Welcome, Niall. Always there, isn't he? Every single stream. What a guy.
And just the way these the short corners, it just gives them something different to do. So everyone's expecting it. Okay, Gabrielle's going to be in there, Ben White's going to be in there, all the taller players, and then you just have that last little moment, small short run, and then someone like a Jorginho on the edge of the box to hit it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, and that's the way it works. Hi, Tom.
Good evening, Tom. Hello. They're all jumping in now.
There's always a certain time. Thank you, Niall, by the way, on 100 subscribers. We did it.
We did it. The boyhood dream has come true, mate.
Absolutely.
Baby steps, but it's what 2 months? Within 2 months?
We and Posh should have made a start. October time, late October, perhaps we kind of termed it as a trial. And we thought, well, we'll just give this a go, see what happens. And all of a sudden, we get people in every single show. It's fantastic. And I can safely say for all of us, we absolutely love doing it. And the variety of stuff that's come out has really been fun. And, having new people on the streams, we've had all sorts of new people. We got introduced to Fran, relatively early on. We've had Strasbourg Steve the other day. Prince as well. I hadn't spoken to before.
Tracy May, etc.
Tracy May, everyone. It's been an interesting ride, isn't it? And we're part there. We're going to keep on building it and building it and build it. And before you know it, we're going to take over the world. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, that's the aim here. So
that's it.
Realistic goals, obviously.
We'll take over the match of the day panel at some stage. So. Listen, if it's good enough for if it was good enough for our Holly, our friend from the Tottenham channel, who actually got onto match of the day too, the start of the other week, I think we'll get there.
Well, if anything's good enough for Tottenham, then it's good enough for us, eh? Hey, come on! We were out of the FA Cup before they were, so.
That's all right. Never mind. We'll have a bit.
Didn't want the treble anyway.
To Sheffield is not for everyone. Let's just say that.
Ooh. And getting back on track because
Yeah.
The next thing I've got written down in my notes was the one of the few efforts that Everton had in the first half, and it was Morpay, who, I don't know about you guys, he gave me a few nightmares over years gone by when he played for Brighton, and he nobbled the goalkeeper, old Leno, and the disruption that was caused in that game, and pretty much ended Guendouzi's career at Arsenal as well. But it was Morpay who had a shot from distance. I think it was Rambo saved it. It was relatively easy, but your thoughts on seeing him as a starter instead of obviously Calvert-Lewin was injured and stuff. Were you that bothered? Or so okay, that's what's in front of us, or?
I mean, I think before we scored, I thought, this is going to be this might be a game that will be a lot tougher than people may think, because of what happened at Goodison Park. Everton caused problems for us. They were a stressful team to beat, like I mentioned. Neil Maupay, based on previous games, it gave me a little sense of deja vu. Well, I was worrying about that. He was only one of those players that would come back to haunt us in our dreams, but it would be more of a nightmare. But it wasn't to be, thankfully. And but again, back to what I said about the first 40 minutes, I felt like it was going to be one of those games where we were going to try everything, but it was going to be Everton that were just holding their line. But
and they managed to do it for about 40 minutes or so.
Absolutely.
And then our opening goal happened. And I'll throw this to Matt because this, as Zinchenko is a left back by trade, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's his position.
Allegedly.
Now. So he's managed to get an assist from right hand side midfield in open play. So I've never asked you this, Matt, before. The idea of having a free role at left back. What are your thoughts on this?
I just wonder at that time. It is a bit bizarre, but maybe Ben White was pushing it. Arteta turned around and said, "Right, okay, Ben White's going to swap over to that left hand side, and Zinchenko can go on that right." From what I remember, it was almost like a it was almost very much like you do with the wingers. Sometimes you swap your wingers around so to confuse the defense and attack. But the fact that he was that far forward either meant that either Jorginho was sitting in his position or Xhaka. So it was. But the fact is that he does prefer to play in the midfield. He said so himself. He does that with Ukraine. But the fact he was just allowed to free roam there without anyone realistically tracking him until it was too late, it just sort of went down from there for Everton, really. But I have to say, for Saka again, he's gotten into these sort of near impossible finishes, and I know we're not going to mention a previous Dutch player on the men's side who wore that number 11, but that was very much a him sort of finish. You just lathered it in impossible position, right into the top of the corner and Pickford had
lovely goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, and even then, I think we could have had a penalty if the referee wanted to, because I think Zinchenko was fouled for that as well. But I think I'd rather take the goal than the penalty.
We'll take the goal, definitely. It was much needed. It took a little bit of pressure off the team just before half time. Want to say happy birthday to Luca, who's just joined us in the chat. Lovely lad. I've really enjoyed talking to him on the occasions we've interacted. He's a good guy, and he's make sure you give him a look if you haven't already. I know it's probably just Luca in the chat right now, but we won't say anyone, so it's fine. But so we got the first goal. This was an interesting one. Second goal. How I did write his name down. Idrissa Gueye. What the heck was he doing? So gets absolutely mugged. Basically, in the play. I think just in the play before, I believe he thought there was a foul in the play for Arsenal. I believe I did write it down. He thinks there's a foul McNeil on Ødegaard, I think, but he just gets absolutely trodden over by Saka to set Martinelli through. A VAR decision going our way as well. I know. It's bizarro world.
Please, sir, can I just mention something about the first goal for a minute? I was just going to echo the fact that Zinchenko seems to play everywhere but his main position at left back. And from what I get, from my logic is, if it works in our favour, then that's a fine and a very tactical thing from Zinchenko. If it doesn't, then he shouldn't be doing that, and Kieran Tierney needs to start. That's my logic here. But it worked in our favour, so I always rate him. He's very good. He's very good in doing that.
I mean, a role that is he did a lot for City, but from someone who's really old school like me, and I'm looking for my number 3 in a number 3 position. It just confuses the living daylights of me. I mean, this is why, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a manager on a football pit on a field. Maybe a little bit on my phone game, maybe. But you know, I digress. Look, these guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. I'm just here flapping my gums, so it's fine. But there's the second goal. The loss of possession from Idrissa Gueye. What was he doing? And the poaching ability from Saka to get it off his toes for Martinelli's offside. Well, Martinelli would put it in and eventually goal given. We'll throw it to Posh for this one, and then we'll throw it to Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually Everton's Idrissa Gueye is actually quite decent for Everton. I was surprised that he would make a mistake like that. And Everton have actually got quite a decent midfield, the likes of Doucouré, Gueye, Onana as well. You know, very and yeah. Absolutely. And I was mentioning the midfield rather than the wing.
I see Matt laugh.
But yeah,
flashback.
I think.
Come back.
It was a terrible mistake from Idrissa, and it led to the second goal just before half time. Gabriel Martinelli, and it's great to see. Martinelli was, in my opinion, one of the many players of the match in the entire game, and he gets spoiler alert, one of his 2 goals, and I'm very pleased that he's in fine form at the moment, which is great because a lot of fans were critiquing him before he scored during the Leicester game, which I thought was unfair, but okay.
Well, I'll go to that. Maybe I feel he's been a little bit spurned on by Gabby O'Bonlahor's words. Remember the clip we played when he said, I didn't like it when he was celebrating the goal. Don't like it, celebration police. He's not even. He's been playing rubbish. I think that's his word. He's been playing rubbish for a month. So I'll throw this one to you, Matt. Martinelli. That is now 3 goals in the total behind, in the form of his life, Marcus Rashford. Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think he's actually done anything wrong over the past month. I thought he was actually doing really good. The fact that he's been pulled off a couple of times at times has been questionable, especially when he's been having a lot of joy getting onto the ball and trying to create things, and they've been ended up in corners or throw-ins, somewhere where we look a little bit more dangerous. And actually, funny enough, we've now got from last night 2 players that have just gotten over that 10-goal margin, which helps a lot, in Saka and Martinelli. I think a lot of these people are more likely to not watch it in week in, week out. Unfortunately, I'm one of those that don't watch him week in, week out. But when I do watch him, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm not like, oh, he can do better. So I know that he's capable of being that 8 out of 10 player each week. And if he scores, that goes to a 9. If he gets an assist, that always goes up to a 9. If he gets a hat trick, and and that's a 10 out of 10. That's the sort of thing, or even a hat trick of assists. That's the sort of thing he can do. And the terrifying thing is a lot of these players aren't even at their peak.
Yes.
But for Martinelli's goal as well, I think what was the issue was the referee said play on, either he didn't say play on loud enough so that players knew what was going on. Idris Gueye then picks up the ball, not seeing that there's nothing around him, so he thought, right, okay, it's going to be just pass it back to Pickford. He doesn't get the shout or say there's a man on. Saka just does what Saka does best, just chases after it, and Martinelli's on it on a shot. And I think, if I'm honest, that is centimeters. Centimeter the other way, and that's going. Hi, Fran.
Hi, Fran. I know Fran's watching some football at the moment. She might join us. She might not. It depends on technical issues. Believe me, I know all about technical issues right now. But yeah, it's good to have Fran in the chat, and happy birthday again to Lucas, she says. Well, I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but Idrissa didn't appear for the second half. He got pulled off for Holgate. And interestingly enough, Jorginho got pulled as well at half-time for Thomas Partey. I don't know if that was a tactical substitution, being that we were 2-0 up. And I know
yeah, and
Partey
I think
played it.
No, after you.
Thank you, sir. He played the last few minutes of the previous match at Leicester. I wondered if they were just building up his fitness to say, all right, so we're in a good position here. We could just change the defensive midfielder around and see how you get on for 45. I know he's not trained much, but that might have been what they were trying. Is that your views?
Yeah, I think I'm just baffled that we actually made a substitution in 45 minutes, which is still a shock to me. But it's good to see Partey getting back and getting more minutes now, because he only got about 3 minutes against Leicester, but that he's just come back from injury, which I understand. Yeah. And it's good to see he's gradually getting some more minutes in, and that, which is always an encouraging sign. So yeah, good to see him on for the second half. I want to see a Partey and Jorginho combo rather than Partey and Xhaka. I'm intrigued to see what that looks like. I want to see more minutes of that.
Fair enough. Then what do you do with Mr. Xhaka? That's the question.
What don't you do with him?
No,
I feel like I've been transported in time again, Matt. But what are your thoughts on that combination then, Matt? Jorginho and Partey.
I think if we were to see it, it would probably work in the Europa League game, just as a trial run. You don't, especially when you're going for a title, you don't want to mess around with player combinations and things like that. So, but if you wanted to try it out, either you try it out Europa League, where you would imagine we'll have a lot more of the ball. We can see how it goes and go from there. But then again, who's going to be the more attacking minded? Would it be Partey or would it be Jorginho? It's difficult to say. But I suppose it also depends on the opposition. Say, I'm sure someone that's really hard to break down, maybe even against Man City, that could potentially work. But it's a case of, but they both have to be fit and able to play, and instead of working on 45 minutes and then as Partey has done in the past, getting injured, get small little niggles and things like that, it doesn't really help. But it's difficult to say. But the fact that he made 45 minutes, that's good. That gives him a good chance now to play at least 45 minutes on Saturday. Sunday. Yeah, Saturday. Against Bournemouth.
Another home game.
This is why I'm so out of sync with the men's at the moment. It's just like, I don't even know who's next. It could be the local zoo at this stage, and I'd still be like, oh, okay. But
I mean, that'd be an interesting game, wouldn't it? Be stiffer opposition than Tottenham. No,
I was gonna say We played them. We beat them 2-0 in January.
Yes. Okay. Listen, and in terms of how the second half went, well, I think it was pretty much one-sided until the very, very end. Trossard for the third goal managed to get the ball on the left-hand side, and he managed to cross it in to Ødegaard, side foot finish with plenty of power on it. Was a poacher's goal, maybe a bit of a collector's item on Ødegaard's right foot as well.
Yeah, I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased with how Trossard has done at Arsenal. He's turned out to be a very, very good signing. Especially considering he wasn't our number one target. That was Mudryk, but obviously that didn't happen. But actually, I think when we got Trossard, that's actually, I will give credit where it's due, and I think we did a good job in getting him because he's been brilliant for us. One of our better signings this season. And yeah, he does suit us very well. And I heard a lot of various, Arsenal YouTubers, commentators say it. The way he plays suits our system very well, and that he would be a very good addition, and he has been. So yeah, good assist for Trossard, and the skipper Martin Ødegaard getting a goal, and he needed that because recently he's been critiqued a lot by various Arsenal fans, especially I think I was one of them against Aston Villa where he missed a sitter. So I'm glad that he's got a goal. I think he needed that, and I'm pleased to see it happen. 3-0. I think it's clear that we're very much in control now, and this is when I allow short corners to happen, right? If we're like 3 or 4-0 up in like the 82nd minute, that's fine. We can afford to, if it's 0-0 and it's like we're on the attack and we do a short corner, you're just wasting a chance to score and break the deadlock. So, if I can be more lenient towards short corners, if we're 4-0 up in like the 85th minute, that's when you can do it. You can afford to do it. Anyway.
And we'll lure the goalkeeper up as well.
Exactly. We'll get Martinez up.
Yeah.
And don't aim for Leno. That's how it works.
Just
one at a time, please.
Go on, Bay.
No, I'm rambling on too much. Go on.
No. You're talking about the goal. Go on, keep going.
This is so British. I think.
After you, sir.
Yeah. No, I was just saying it's great to see Ødegaard get a goal now. Because he's been needing that kind of boost.
I think what you're saying is although television pundits and whatnot were giving him man of the match, particularly at Villa, I think a lot of us are like,
I'm baffled by that.
Not really for me, but he did have a pretty good game yesterday. So I'll throw it to you now, Matt. And there was two things. So we've got Trossard, how he settled down in an Arsenal shirt, and Ødegaard getting back on the goal trail.
Well, it's always good to see your captain scoring goals first and foremost. He has this tendency. What I noticed last season was that he was in and out of games. Even this season, if he wasn't scoring, he was assisting. Sometimes it dries up where he doesn't seem to be doing anything, and sometimes he does become a bit of a paperweight. And that's where Saka and Martinelli have stepped up a little bit, so that the burden's not so much. Even some other players have stepped up to get the assists and score some goals. And I think Trossard has also proven to be a great option for a signing of the window, if I'm honest. I think it was a bit of an added bonus as well, the fact that he can play up top, because it meant that Eddie could get some break as well because of the Jesus injury. It also meant that we also had an option for, because if ever Saka needed a break as well, because sooner or later that injury is going to happen, and I'm not wishing it this moment or anything, but touching wood and everything at the moment. But sooner or later, it's going to take is one tackle too many and either snaps and get himself a red card or he gets himself injured. And at the moment, Trossard, I think, would be a comfortable replacement at the moment. And the fact that he's settled so well, the fact that he fits the style as well, the fact that as well he's going to be able to up his level in the European competitions as well makes it even more special. And I think he wants a chance to prove himself again and say to Brighton almost, hey, look at me now. Nearly, I've got almost a quarter of my hand on a Premier League medal, winners medal, and potentially got myself into Europe without you. So almost like a thanks very much, but you I'm proving you all wrong. Try to be nice there.
Absolutely. So we'll sort of wrap up this last goal. I can hear my little girls getting a little bit rowdy in the other room with mummy. So if it's coming through on the microphone, I am sorry. We mentioned Eddie being very much relied on pretty much up until the previous match, the Leicester game. He's literally started every single game since Jesus' injury. Well, Eddie got back on the field for, I think it was for Trossard. I might be proved wrong on that, but Eddie did come on.
Let's have a look. Yeah, 72 minutes came on for Trossard.
Oh good, I got my facts right. Thank goodness for that. That would have been really embarrassing.
You always get your facts right. What are you on about?
I'm a broadcast journalist.
Exactly.
So exactly. So and I can hear echoes. Oh, that right, fair enough. So Eddie got involved in the play, which led to the last goal of the match. It was a very interesting 1-2. Nketiah to Zinchenko. Yeah, he was actually on the left-hand side this time, Zinny. So he gets praise for that. Then he plays a nice little tricky ball to Nketiah, quick ball in, and the easiest, if you like, tap-ins for Martinelli. Like you said, he's now the second player that's in double figures for the Premier League season. So that pretty much finishes the game off. Just your thoughts on the last goal before we move on?
Can I say, I want to, on what Matt said about how Saka, the inevitable Saka injury is coming. It reminds me of that time in the 2013-14 season where we only had one striker. We were like, right, Giroud's getting injured at some point, isn't he? And we were like, we got no one to replace him apart from Nicholas Bentner, who, let's be honest,
our Lord
as much
and Savior.
As people like to take the mick out of him, exactly. But but yeah, that's what it kind of reminds me of. But I think I think Trossard is a much better backup replacement, though. Can he play on Saka's side though?
He can play.
Okay. All right.
We'll see. That'd be interesting because there's another player also we'll bring up in a second who might want to do that as well. The intro might have suggested that as well. But Matt might not have seen that. You've got a treat when you've got a treat when you see the start of the stream back, mate. Do you want a clue? It's like the old days on Twitch, mate. So do you want to wrap up the last goal, Matt?
Unfortunately, I can't really. I haven't been able to see it, so unfortunately, I think someone else is going to have to describe the goal. I'll have to watch it back on the highlights.
We have to do your best Arsene Wenger impression. Say, "Well, I did not see it." Fair enough.
I didn't see it, but I'll pass it on to one of you to explain it to everyone in more detail.
Overall. I think we pretty much covered it, didn't we, Posh, really?
It's good to see Eddie get an assist.
It was nice seeing him amongst the FPL point scorers as well. Needed that. Thanks, Eddie. But as I said, for me, this is probably a good point. I think Eddie just needed a little bit of a break. He had so much pressure on his shoulders, being that he was our only fit striker until Trossard did sign for us. Now that little bit of pressure is off him somewhat. I do feel that we're going to get a bit more out of him. I think he'd probably line up not on Saturday, but I think Nketiah probably will come in on Thursday next week in Portugal for the Europa game. I would suggest, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself because
I think against a team like Sporting Lisbon, we might need a striker that can actually, we can rely on to score. I think so. I would probably start Nketiah during the Bournemouth game. I think we can afford to take that risk. I think in that game. Famous last words, but yeah.
You know what's scary though is that you look at that squad. There's only 2 players in that squad that have experienced Champions League football with Arsenal. That's scary to think.
Oh, it's been a little while, wasn't it? Do you know what? I think we were so spoiled under Arsene Wenger, and I think some of how can I put this? Some fans of today will not realise, some of the tougher times that Arsenal and Arsenal fans have been through. Jez talked about this quite, when we had him on for a little while ago, where that there was an awful long period, sort of from after the double winning side of 71 all the way through in that period until 1979 cup final, where they literally, it was an absolute nightmare. Nothing happened. And then, of course, in the Wenger era, literally, he was in Champions League every single time, with the financial restrictions and everything that he had after the move and trying to pay off for the stadium and stuff like that. I think was quite remarkable. Apologies, I know there's lots of noise coming in. I think my little girl was coming from school, and I think she's getting a little ratty. So, and me taking over her room's probably not helping.
She's just excited over seeing the Arsenal's position in the league. That's what it is.
No, she saw the slide guard. I don't know if you saw the skill. He slide tackle and took the ball away from Iwobi.
Yes,
that was pretty spectacular, wasn't it? It's almost Meadows like. Perhaps not. But so there we are. We're in a position now. Our game in hand is done. We're level now with Games City with a nice 5 points. It's nothing to worry about, is it? It's all signed up. No, I'm joking. But it realistically, it is in our hands now, chaps. We're in that position. If we keep on winning our games, keep on showing that consistency. We've got rather on track after a couple of dodgy couple of weeks. The Villa game, now the Leicester, now the Everton. It's looking good all of a sudden. So are we feeling hopeful? I think yesterday was quite a big moment.
It's important to not get carried away, because I think a lot of Arsenal fans did, including me. I think a lot of us did when it came to January, where we were beating like to Tottenham and Man United, but and then we ended up in a bit of a slump, and then we went from we're going to win the league to we've blown it. We'd be lucky to finish third. So we need to take it one game at a time. 13 games, still quite a lot of games to go in the league. We've still got Man City to play at the Etihad. We've got Newcastle at St James's Park, and we've got our traditional 4-0 defeat at Anfield coming up. So it's
looking forward to that one.
Hopefully that won't happen. Fingers crossed. So we've still got some tough games to come. We've still got a long way to go. So I wouldn't pop the champagne open just yet, or in my case, the Strongbow. I wouldn't celebrate just yet. I should have said Pimm's, shouldn't I? Which is a drink I genuinely like. But yeah. Anyway,
of course, he does.
I'm pleased at how we're going at the moment.
Yeah.
But one game at a time. Man City could still, if we could still slip up. Man City could. This season's been unpredictable, so we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Matt, anything to add on that?
Well, just looking at this season, I don't think anyone was expecting us to get into a title challenge, let alone be top of the table at this moment in time, let alone even at Christmas and into New Year's. It was very unexpected, but I think the coaching staff's going to have to say well done to themselves, because they're probably going, right, okay, if we can hit third, that's a successful season back in Champions League. Don't have to worry about anything else. And it gives us momentum for the next season. But we seem to be ahead of ourselves now. And I think that's going to be important for the future. Effectively, some of these players that have just come in, they're going to be here for the next 5-6 seasons. Hopefully the idea is to keep on adding to these players, then we keep on going for those younger players and integrate them. Even if we use the academy system at times, that will be quite helpful as well. This season, I know I'm not Mikel Arteta's biggest fan, but I am trying to be as honest as I possibly can, and he has actually started to show his worth. Last season, it almost felt like a free hit because of the FA Cup, and there was a few issues here, there, and everywhere. But this season, it was almost like, right, okay, you need to show us that you can do better. You can't go back to back, going eighth and doing one step better into sixth. You need to get into that Champions League spot, and he's made all the right decisions along with the board as well. Which again, I'm surprised to hear myself even talk about the fact that about that, and even the ownership as well. They're all in the same boat, and they're actually rowing, and we're not spinning around in circles. We're nearly we're not there yet. If I stick to the rowing analogy, we're about 13 bridges away from winning in the race at the moment, and City are five paces away from us at the moment, and anything can happen. I mean, the fact that Man United are in third at the moment was just a huge interesting. It makes it a little bit more interesting with the title race at the moment, and it's something else that we've got to consider as well, because sooner or later, if City slip up, we slip up again. United could be also in the mix as well.
Yeah, they could finish second.
Well, I think we've very much got a three-way race there, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen bigger leads disintegrate into chaos in our time before. So, but we're going to keep positive, and let's from this point, we're going to keep the focus on the next game, and it's a rare 3 o'clock kickoff. So I'll bring this up as well as a 3 o'clock kickoff as well. I'm not going to talk some predictions for team, because I think that's like impossible to do like a day after the game. That would be a silly thing to do, I think. But the fact that we're right in the title race, and I know these somewhat rearranged fixtures and everything, isn't it somewhat ridiculous that, like last night, where again I mentioned how fun it was watching Grimsby against Tottenham. I would have much rather been watching the Arsenal. And again,
I think Grimsby played Southampton and Tottenham played Sheffield United.
Oh, indeed, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I'd love it even more if Tottenham were knocked out by Grimsby. But,
well, it could happen. The quarterfinals are been drawn, haven't they? So, but you get my point. The fact that it's another game, we're in the title race, and the fact that we're not even in the Sky, BT, Prime, whatever, it's just ridiculous, I think. But it's just my opinion. Where should we go from it? I know where we'll go, because Matt is kind enough to be with us this evening, and we've got an interesting weekend coming up for the Arsenal ladies. We've got a cup final to talk about, Matt, haven't we?
Yes, and I believe if I go further back, we were just in an international break on the Arnold Clark Cup against England versus South Korea, Belgium, and Italy. And England went and won the game. Leah Williamson going and picking up the trophy and a brace for her, which is very rare for that. She does when she does score. In that final game, it was 6-1 in the end against Belgium. It was a fantastic showing for England, and it's a great test to see who we're playing. Funny enough, that draw has also been done. We're playing with Haiti in the group, so that means our group of Denmark, China, and Haiti is complete, and that's going to be an interesting one. Haiti, first time ever they've qualified for a FIFA World Cup, men's or women's.
Fantastic.
So congratulations to them as well. last weekend, the game against Chelsea in the FA Cup at Kingsmeadow, they ended up with a 2-0 loss. I'll just gloss over it. It wasn't very spectacular.
It was a painful watch, mate.
Very painful indeed. And the fact that there was chances on chances, but nobody could put the ball in the back. Frida Leonhardt and Marnham had the chance to, if she was a foot taller, she is very tall at the moment. A foot taller, that ball's in the back of the net. Lovely low cross in the end. And unfortunately, she just couldn't reach it. And it ended up being 2-0 to Chelsea. So this time around, it's the League Cup final, which is a lot of people refer to as the Conti Cup final, over at Selhurst Park, which I'm looking forward to going to. There's not all the tickets have been sold out at the moment, but it's close to it. And this is the first time that they've held the competition final in a venue over 10,000, and it's a huge step, not just for Crystal Palace for actually saying yes, we'll host it, but it's a huge mark of respect as well for the fact of what's happened post Euros and all the amazing work that goes into it at the moment. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm trying to gather as many fans as possible. If you go into the game, make sure you got your banners, your flags, your face paint. I'm tempted to turn around and ask someone to face paint myself, red and white on the day, just to be there. It's just the atmosphere at the last cup final that we had was at Wembley, and it was completely dead. Just to bring that into perspective, and
that's no idea, was it?
It wasn't a good day. Ironically enough, it was against Chelsea again.
Chelsea again, wasn't it? Yeah.
We had a few issues that day as well, when and Chelsea just ended up running away with it in the end. Obviously, we don't have.
Defeated, wasn't it? Wasn't it 4-0?
I don't want to think about it.
I am right, though, aren't I?
Chelsea beating Arsenal 4-0 in a final. Where have I seen that before?
It will never happen.
Good evening. Yeah, but
thank you.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, there's chances there that we can take them. We showed that in the first half. We just need to take those chances when they come to. I'm looking forward to Sunday because it gives us a chance to go out and enjoy ourselves. It's a chance to take a break from the league as well. We're now back to we're in fourth, not chasing that last Champions League spot after our bit of a dismal run against City, last loss against City. So we need to pick ourselves up. A trophy is the perfect way to do it. It helped City last season. They ended up getting third, and I'm looking forward to Sunday. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's it could be a bit of a momentum shift. It's almost like, you go into a neutral ground as well. And, the high-profile stakes of it as well at Selhurst Park. It should be a good game. It's Sunday. What time kick-off, mate?
3:00.
And if people can't get to the ground, is it on?
It's BBC One and BBC iPlayer. I'm not sure where. I believe the FA player should have it if you are abroad.
Right.
So fingers crossed on that, because I haven't double-checked that. But they usually do for international.
Fair enough. So what I think we'll do, I don't know. We'll talk sort of off stream about how we'll cover the actual final itself. Couple of stories, and hello to Craig, who's just joined us in the chat. There he is. Panel, big up everyone here and in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a good story. We've been on 50 minutes, so if you've missed any of us, catch up with us at the start. You'll have a fantastic musical performance as well. It's what everyone wants. Look, I told you I was going to surprise you. So there's one talking point I want to bring up, and I did briefly cover it yesterday. So I'd like to hear your views on this. This is Ivan Toney and the betting scandal issue. So lots of things going on in the news over the last sort of 24 hours. So we all know that he's been charged with a number of betting offences from quite a significant period of time. News came out yesterday that I understand, said, he's done some of these offences, but he's saying he's not done all of them. he also went on a bit of an Instagram rant as well, saying, I'm questioning the fairness of the trial as it's come out that the FA may try and ban me for 6 months and stuff. A lot of talk from, and you would understand Brentford wanting to try and do this as well. If there is a ban upcoming, they'd want it done as quickly as possible, because if there's like a time ban on it, it will go into the summer months. Now, my view is this seems a little bit unfair because there's no football being played in summer months. So I'll throw it to the pair of you, so whoever wants to jump in first on this. I know I've not prepared you for this, but just your thoughts with Tony, and what is a suitable, adequate consequence of this action?
I honestly, I don't. I'm not good with these. Like, yeah, yeah, I do think because playing no football in the summer, but we don't do that anyway. Does that apply for pre-season games? Then I take it.
I would imagine it'll be everything.
Okay.
All competitive football. I think is probably similar to the long ban that Cantona got back in the day when he would kung fu kick someone in Sellers Park.
He did his best Bruce Lee impression. I remember.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Well, I don't remember. I wasn't born then. Not to make you feel old or anything, but I know of it. Anyway.
I'm so blinking old. I remember the very day it happened, and I remember how I found out about that. It was through blooming teletext. But in the old days, yeah. Anyway, fair enough. But getting it back to we've drawn away from Tony to Cantona somehow. But so Matt, your thoughts on Tony?
I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure Joey Barton did a similar sort of thing on a lower scale. He made like 6 or 7 bets in a season, and he was only banned for 3 games. So if you were to ban someone because you've made over 100, well, actually it's over 200, isn't it? It's like nearly 300. So if you're working that out, sort of 300 bets, if that's per game, that works out as probably well over 5 years is what you're looking at. So the other player, you'd imagine either they do that or they would just say to him, look, you're banned for a year. You're not allowed to play football at any level, and go from there. Or the other option is a huge fine, which is basically a slap on the wrist and don't do it again, which is a bit of a huge.
It's a bit late now, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes no sense. It doesn't make like especially when you work for a football club, you're told that you're not allowed to bet on games, let alone there's a whole moral code, ethic and moral code that you have to sign, and one of them does say you're not allowed to bet. The fact that he's broken it and he's gotten away with it as well up until this point is ridiculous. And sooner or later, it was going to go back to bite him. I mean, you look at the City issue at the moment as well. Sooner or later, everyone gets to come up. There's even now the question over Newcastle's ownership because of the moral. Is it not moral? They're investigating into that now as well. So there's a chance that Newcastle might have to find new owners. But it's almost like a lot of this is coming too little, too late. They should, if it was done, why is it all being done now and not sooner rather than later? It seems like a lot of people are trying to push the agenda at the moment, and realistically, if he's done that over so many years, it shouldn't be happening, and he should know better. Funny enough, I was actually living in Northampton when he was there growing up. Then he ended up going to Newcastle, and then just going from there. It's almost like no one's taught him the right way to how to spend your money, or because how much money he has accumulated, he doesn't know what to do with it. So he's thought betting would be the best way to go. I'm not too sure on that, but someone closer to him might know a little bit more. But you shouldn't be if something's banned, it's banned for a reason. and it also could had it have any impact. Oh, Lee's had to go. If it had any impact on, say, Brentford getting promoted or any other game that he's been part of, it's almost like it needs to be sorted out. I don't know what the right punishment is, but something needs to happen. Whether it's not he has to attend an anonymous group just for gamblers or anything like that, but something needs to make this sort of like the paveway tour. If this happens again, you need to make sure that these steps are followed.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Apologies for that. My phone just gave up just as I sent a message in the private chat. So, but anyway, I think if we can, I think that will just about wrap us up for today. Already scheduled for next week on Gooner Gathering at 7:00 on Monday. We'll talk about the Bournemouth game. I'll have a little chat with this young man to my right, as is now, and we'll talk about what we're going to do in terms of covering the ladies' final for Sunday. If I just pop up the banners here, Matt, would you like to tell everybody where they could find you on Twitter, etc., etc.?
Yep. So mine is where Tosh's name is Matt at MattLR28.
Thank you very much, Mr. Posh Bertie, sir.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Posh Bertie and Instagram at Bertie Wanless, and together we are at Gooner Gathering.
Indeed, we are, and I'm at Goonerly Meet as well. If anyone wants to join in on one of our shows, drop us a message on Twitter. I will get back to each and every one of you. So until next time, everybody, thank you so much for everyone that's been on the stream. We reached 100 subs as well. Let's plow on for the next 100, all right? And come on, you Gunners, and we'll see you next time.
Come on.